Let me see. Okay, we're live. We're live. I got everything working, I believe. Welcome. It is a little distracting here this morning. Um, Let me see. I know you can't see me on. There we go. I forgot I had this covered up. Do you guys ever cover the hole on your computer? Because people say, oh, people can remotely come into your computer and they can see you and take pictures. I've heard this. Maybe it's true. People can hack you. So I always have something over my lens of my camera. And I change out the sayings. And today, what I had over it is, what if it were easy? What if it were easy? And sometimes we have to tell ourselves this. When you're working on something, you're struggling, you just have to ask yourself, what if it were easy? And starting to think that way will have you operate differently in your life. If you just start to think, what if it were easy? How would I do this differently? Because sometimes we make things so hard. We make things so hard on ourselves when we don't have to. And if other people are doing it with ease, we could too eventually start to do things with ease. So we today are on part 3 of a live stream we've been doing called 8 solutions to beat procrastination. That's what I was calling it. Truth is, I've given you way more than 8 ways. I think just even in the first 1 or 2 videos, I gave you more than 8 ways. Truth is, I came up with 8 reasons why we procrastinate, and I'm giving you lots of solutions for each one. So this is part 3. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, they are on YouTube under 8 ways to beat procrastination. And they're also in my private Facebook group, Purpose Driven Christians, as well as I have them streamed right now on Instagram. So those of you who are here on Instagram, if you want to ask me questions, hop on over to my YouTube channel. That is where I am answering questions. That's the best place because it scrolls too fast on Instagram. There's too many people. So Facebook and YouTube would be the places to ask questions. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to take 1 minute or 30 seconds to pray for Brittany Bozeman. Her dad is fighting. He is, I believe, in critical care in the ICU. So if you guys would just join together in a prayer with me, just agree. You don't have to follow along necessarily, but just agree. The scripture says where 2 or more are gathered, I am in the midst of them. So God is in our midst when we're all agreeing in prayer. So, dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you that you come through for Brittany's dad, that you help him get over whatever he's fighting, whatever sickness, whatever disease, whatever ailment has him down. And I pray that you just revive him, spirit, soul, and body, and that he comes out of this hospital and what he's going through better than he was even before he went into it. And God, right now, we just command that every cell in his body functions in the perfection you created it to function, and that he's well and he's healed. And I pray this for every single person on this live stream and their family, friends, or relatives who may be going through something at all. We just thank you that by your stripes, by the stripes of Christ, as I mentioned in Isaiah, that we are healed. We are healed by God's stripes. So thank you, Jesus. And amen. Amen for healing. Okay. So we are talking about, hello, Anandit. We are talking about how to get things done and beat that procrastination, and what may be causing this procrastination, and what are some solutions so that we don't face that anymore. Okay, let's see. Mike is asking when the Hollywood book is coming out. My goal is October. I've done like 3 or 4 drafts on it already, and right now it's with the editor in the first round. So in the first live stream, we went deep on Fear being one of the ways, one of the reasons, probably the main reason we procrastinate on stuff. So if you missed that, check out part 1 of 8 solutions to beat procrastination. Live stream 2, we went through and found solutions for uncertainty, that whole lack of clarity. If you don't know what to do, check that video out. We also touched on, are you procrastinating because you are overwhelmed? So if you think that is what your thing is, we went super deep on that. I think I gave 7 or 8 solutions just on that one particular thing that might be holding us back. And today's live stream, we're going to go over, I think, 4 and 5 things, unpleasant tasks. We're going to delve into, are we procrastinating because this task is really unpleasant, or are we procrastinating due to being uncomfortable? Is what the thing you need to do causing discomfort? How do we get over that? How do we think about things differently? And what are some, besides not only a mindset shift, what are some practical things we can do and pull in to make sure that we can still get things done that maybe are not fun tasks, but in order to move forward in life and accomplish the things we want to accomplish? How many of you know, raise your hand, if you know that some of your goals and dreams are going to require you doing things that aren't always fun? I've been in the midst of doing my taxes all week, so I can attest that to be a business owner, which is awesome, but it requires you doing your taxes in a way where you're itemizing everything. So as I'm going through hundreds of receipts and credit card statements and this and that, I'm thinking, oh, but I'm thinking of the benefits that go with, somebody's asking me what my sweatshirt says. It says encouragement coach. I'd like to call myself an encouragement coach. It's another name for a life coach, I suppose, but I really love to encourage people, and that's why I'm here every Saturday to encourage you guys to follow your dreams and help you break down the barriers that are standing between you and the things that you want to do. So if you're just joining me on Instagram, hop on over to YouTube, my YouTube Live, or my private Facebook group if you want to leave comments. That's where I can read it. Nicola, I don't know if it was made on Etsy. It was given to me by a client of mine. So it was a gift. All right, so we're going to hop into this. Reason number 4, you may be procrastinating, is you have unpleasant tasks in front of you. Something that feels unpleasant to you could be a reason you're not executing and you're just procrastinating on those things you want to do. So, for instance, I knew I had to write this next section. I had to come up with all the things I was going to say about unpleasant tasks, and I kept procrastinating on it and procrastinating on writing about unpleasant tasks. So I was procrastinating on the procrastination topic we needed to discuss. But this is something I think we all deal with. How many of you right now could say that you've got something at home that you know you need to do, or at work, and you've been not wanting to do it because you feel like it's not fun, you feel like it's unpleasant? Is it just me? I don't think so. So we're going to talk about that. I had scheduled like 4.5 hours to work on this. And thank you for the badge, Jocelyn. And then I just kept doing everything else instead of this. Then it moved down to 2 hours to work on. Then at the end of the day, the other day, I only had 30 minutes to work on it. So apparently it's not just unpleasant tasks, but writing about unpleasant tasks is unpleasant for me, apparently, because I love writing. But so I'm asking you, what is it for you? If you want to put in the comments, what is it for you that feels unpleasant? Like, you know, it's something you have to do. Maybe it's more than one thing, but you're like, I don't like this. I just don't like this. Well, one of mine is cleaning the bathroom. That's an unpleasant task for me. So that's usually something my husband has to do. Maybe you don't like cleaning out the bathtub. Maybe you don't like getting leaves out of the gutter when the gutter gets clogged up. I don't know if that's just I don't know if all houses have gutters, but the ones that do, they can get clogged up, especially in Minnesota. Not so much here, not as much here in California, because I have palm trees outside my house. I have other trees too, but the ones like right in front of the house where the gutters are palm trees. So they have big giant branches, but they fall just to the ground instead of like the leaves that fly into the gutters. So are you writing down? Okay, Diane says clearing the house of things to get the house ready to sell. Yes, that can definitely be daunting, especially when we've tied emotional things and memories to that thing. So it's not just about the clutter, it's like everything you pick up almost has a memory. Or I bought it, or someone, I bought it with this person, or when my kids were little, or when this happened, or you start to remember and think about the things attached to it. So it's not as easy sometimes as saying, let's just get rid of the clutter, right? So I have a friend who finds an unpleasant task going to big box stores, like going to Costco and things like that. So she doesn't like to go. So she has her hubby go for her. Um, Me organizing papers. Oh my gosh, stacks and stacks of papers, right? Organizing papers. I have such an aversion to organizing and filing my papers that I would rather go outside and do manual labor in the scorching heat or rain than sit inside where it's nice and cozy and temperature controlled than to file my papers. As a matter of fact, I have gone to a friend's house who needed help with organizing and filing and spent hours doing mind numbing organization and filing and sorting papers and things to earn money to then give to an assistant to have them organize and file mine. That's crazy, right? Instead of doing that for her, getting the money and paying someone to do mine, but there's that whole emotional attachment to it, right? What's attached to these piles? Like when I'm going through the medical records of when my sons were in the hospital, that has emotional attachment to it. When I remember I was praying and praying and they said he wasn't going to make it and there was all these issues and did it, that can be paralyzing. So I'm not going to get too deep into the whole psychoanalyzing why I don't want to do stuff. Um, that's not something I find all that helpful. I don't really even do that too much for my coaching clients because really I'm in the business of doing things and getting them done regardless of what my hangups are as to why I want to do them or don't want to do them. Right? Diana's saying I had to sort papers too for the accountant for taxes. Yes, and that was my late husband's job. Exactly. When you have to take on new tasks, I've just recently been thinking there's so many things I would have my husband do. And I've just been thinking, man, I better learn how to do this because God forbid something should happen to him one day. And then I have to start taking over some of these things. And I think that is a problem that a lot of widows go through is they let their husband take care of so many things that when he's gone, they weren't necessarily up to speed or they didn't know how things work. They may not even know where all the accounts are. I don't know if that's anybody on here besides Diane, but I have a friend who's got a group on Facebook called the Positive Widows Group. So if that's you and you need some positivity in your life, she's got a new book out. I'm probably going to be interviewing her one of these weeks coming up about the grief, the positive widow, the grief counseling she does and the program she has in the book she has out, because no matter if you've lost a spouse or any loved one, there's a lot of tools in there, like her first chapter on understanding grief. So we'll talk about that another time. Right now we're on procrastination, but I wanted to drop that seed in case that's something you guys were interested in. If so, if you think if you've had a loss and you want to figure out how to find hope and more to focus on the love rather than the loss, she would be a great guest to have. So you can just drop it in the notes if you would want me to interview her. Okay, so I don't really like to get into the whole psychoanalyzing what's my hangups are, because in some ways it doesn't matter if you can pinpoint where the hangup came from. Like if you can finally trace it back to, well, my dad never liked this, or my mom always complained about this, like that's fine. But what we need to talk about is how to help you move ahead and tackle the things you need to do, regardless of whether, if you can figure out where it pinpoints back from some great relative, whatever. So we need to talk about helping you move ahead now. So there's also a difference between like something just being unpleasant that you've been avoiding and procrastinating, and also something that you have a very strong aversion to, like you really don't want to do because um, it's triggering. You know what I mean? It's triggering. So sometimes something will trigger you, and sometimes that is something you need to avoid, if it, until you can get that worked out and you can um ease that trauma. You know, this is something like people who deal with PTSD for different reasons. Rather, I had a friend that was in a terrible crash, and there was a number of years where she couldn't. She felt out of control. Like if she would drive with me, she would just be out of sorts. She needed to feel in control of the driving and the steering wheel and all of that. Uh, because she just felt like somebody could crash into her at any moment. It took her years to get through that. So there's a difference between just something like, oh, this is unpleasant, I don't like this, and something that is such a strong aversion that it's triggering you in such a way. That is something you're probably going to have to go get therapy for. And so the tips and tricks I have may not help that particular thing, because right now I'm just talking about something that's unpleasant. So keep that in mind. If something is triggering and that's why you're not able to execute on it because it's bringing back bad memories, like there was a period of time where like I couldn't look at babies in a nursery because it would make me feel bad about my son being in the NICU, the intensive care unit. There was like, when he was in there, if I would go to a grocery store and I would see a mom with a baby that was healthy, I would get mad, or I would get sad, or I would get depressed and feel like, man, this isn't fair. And there were certain things I had to avoid at that time. So you may be working through something and you may have to avoid something for a moment. So if that's the case, you know, keep it on your prayer list. Keep asking God how to get over it. Ask him to reveal to you what you can do about it. Okay. And like I said, so prayer and talk to a mental health professional as part of what you need to do to get healed to the point where you can get things done without those awful attachments, whether it's mentally or emotionally, the things that trigger that PTSD that may be keeping you from the execution. So that's a whole deeper thing. The cells, you know, there's muscle memory. The cells can trigger things. The other day I was on set and I was getting makeup done for a certain role, and whatever kind of makeup they used, I flashed back to times where I was with one of my relatives and it smelled like a lipstick she would wear. And then I started to remember the neglect and the emotional abuse that I dealt with and with this particular relative. And if you've read my book, I talk about how this one relative of mine would yank me off the bed by my hair, and it went deeper than that. But certain smells or certain sights can trigger you into something, and that's why it's so important not just to get your mind right. Like we're on here every week talking about the mind, right? Getting our mind right, getting our thoughts right. And you can think these positive thoughts and know God has your back, but if your muscle memory and the cells in your body still have that trauma attached to them, that's why you guys know, well, maybe you don't know, I use a lot of like essential oils, and it bypasses like the mind, and it goes right into your like I think it's called olfactory nerves. So I'm yesterday and the day before, as I'm doing my taxes have this negative connotation, like money. Oh, how much money am I going to have to pay the government? My husband's still looking for work right now. It's, can be a stressful thing. So I had in my diffuser going the essential oil abundance. So I'm smelling like abundance. And I'm playing in the background, like on YouTube, like videos with like abundance scriptures and wealth while I'm smelling the abundance oil while I'm doing the taxes. So there's certain things we need to sometimes do to bypass the things that are emotional triggers or held in our cells. So one of the oils I have is called trauma release. Trauma release, and I have trauma release care. Doctors have done a study. This is a total side note. This is not even in my notes to discuss, but doctors have been able to measure the amount of trauma in the liver. And they did this, I think it was a 6 or 8 week study. And they used this trauma release oil, this trauma care oil, and had the patients put it on every day. I don't know how many times a day. And they measured their trauma cells in their liver before and after the 8 weeks. And there was a noticeable, measurable difference in the people who had trauma and how much they were able to get rid of it. So I'm putting my essential oil on every day, whether it's joy or freedom or believe. I'm looking at all of them. Clarity, forgiveness, whatever it is. I will make myself a note. If you guys are interested in that type of stuff, I will make myself a note to put the link in the description of the oils I use. That was just a little bonus. That wasn't even in my notes. But it made me think of it. What can be triggering you? What needs to be released from the body? Even if your mind is like, I know this is good. I know everything's going to turn out. You know that up here. But if it hasn't gotten down here, sometimes that's hard to get over. All right. Someone in the Facebook group is saying, I'm unable to make good friends at the workplace, even though it's been 2 years, but I keep myself busy in other portfolios. Okay. Unable to make friends. I'm not going to answer that today because we're on the topic of procrastination. But I'm writing it down in case I want it. If you guys have trouble making friends, also let me know, because maybe that's something I could do teaching on in one of these upcoming live streams. I had a period of time in my life where I was unable to make friends. And so I think that could be something very real. I've got another friend that struggles with loneliness. So if that's you, leave a note. Leave a note in the comments. Live stream. All right, so I want to give you guys what's going to help you. Okay, Brittany's saying some of her unpleasant tasks are laundry, work documentation, any kind of yard work, trimming the cat's nails. Ooh, yeah, I had to trim my dog's nails once, and now I'm like, I'm taking him to the vet to do that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Continuously prompting my teenager. That's pretty unpleasant. Maybe something I'm going to come up with in one of these solutions will help that one. When I get to gamify, take note. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Diana, I'm making note of your comment. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue on. So there's things in life that have had me stuck for months or even years. And when I would pray, God, what do I do? Reveal it to me. Sometimes God wouldn't reveal it to me till much later. So even if there are things I prayed about and got hung up on, some of them I never got an answer to. Like, how do I do this? How do I get over this? So if that's where you're at and you don't quite have a solution to, like, how do I get over this? Don't give up on praying. If you feel like you're being led to get some help or some deeper therapy or get a coach, do what you need to do, because sometimes it's hard to figure this stuff out on your own, right? I've had a coach probably for the last 8 years. The last 4 is the same one. So get the help that you need to get, because life is too short to stay stuck, right? So there's many times that I've prayed and I haven't gotten the answer, but in the meantime, I still needed to learn how to do things so I could move to the next level, so I could accomplish my goals and dreams. So I'm going to give you some solutions right now that will help you with the tasks that are unpleasant. All right. So it's not my aim necessarily in giving you these solutions that I use um, to think that they're going to totally override the aversions. Like when I give you these solutions, it may not make you go, oof, now I just love this. Now this task is fun. It's probably not going to do that, but it may give you enough tools to do those things with a little more grace, with a little more ease. Like, right? What did I say earlier? What if it were easy? What if it were easy? And just keep reminding yourself of that. Okay, so this may not override all the things that make you procrastinate, but I think it will help you get in action. And here are some things that I have found work for me when I am doing unpleasant tasks. I'm seeing some of you guys put what your unpleasant tasks are in the chat. Laundry, someone is saying, yes, mine, I've probably 4 loads to do right now. All right. Number 1, get help. Partner up with someone. There are 3 different times that I've called in help to organize my office. I'm not sure why this has always been a challenge for me, but I have found some workarounds to get through it. I've had people come and help me. I had this longtime friend of mine once come, and after we like sorted all the papers and organized, she had these ideas for like colored labels and bins, and she likes to have everything look pretty and perfect. And um, she tried to help me with like these ever growing piles of paper I had. Well, after we sorted the most important ones that I needed to tackle, she took this huge stack of papers and they weren't priority. They weren't pressing. It's not like a bill that needed to be paid. And she's like, you can just throw this away. I'm like, no, I can't throw anything away. I have to save every little piece of paper. Um, Prince says, I miss seeing you in the Darman short films. I've been in a lot of the shorts recently. I'm shooting some today, so they're coming. So she had the stack of papers and was like, I'm just going to throw this away. I was like, no, you can't. I have to deal with every single piece of paper. Well, she's like, you don't really need these. And so I let her take them. She's like, don't worry. They're going to be at my house. I'm going to keep them safe. I'm just going to set aside. I'm just going to hold them for you till you catch up on the papers you have. And when you need them again, I'll have them. Do you know that was more than 10 years ago? And I have never called her to ask her what was in that pile of papers. The world did not fall apart and nothing bad happened. Nothing was forgotten. Nobody got mad at me. No bill was left unpaid. I forgot what was in that pile. Could that be you? Do you have things you are letting pile up that you don't really even need? Okay, there was another time I paid for a consultant to come over and use her method of organizing. She had different systems, but within a couple months, I was back to my old ways. There was a third time not too long ago, a couple years ago. I had another friend come over and she had all these different systems, the colored numbers, the numbering system, labeling things as priority, important, urgent, even like I had made for myself like folders of stuff I can do during the day, business hours only calls, and then folder of stuff I could do at night. Still, things sit in the folders and I'm not doing them. And I'm this weird person that's like, maybe some of you are too, out of sight, out of mind. Like if I don't see it in front of me, it doesn't exist. And that's the reason I have the piles. Because if I put them away and just hide them, I will not even register that I have papers to do. So it's almost like I have to keep the piles to know there's stuff I have to do besides writing poetry. So now what I settled on is I have cubbies. I can show you on those of you who are on my Instagram, I can show you I have cubbies over here. I don't know if you can see that. So I have cubbies that now it's just the easiest thing I found to work for me. They're just categorized by name. So if it's related to my son Timothy, there's a Timothy cubby. If it's related to Eli, I have an Eli cubby. Angela, thank you so much for the super sticker. I'm just seeing that now. And Nicola, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you guys and your generosity. So whatever it is, I have a cubby for it, whether it's marketing, whether it's finance, whether it's health, whether it's my scripts or my You Are Worthy course content, whatever it's related to, it just goes in the cubby. That way I'm not sorting through, did I put this in the urgent pile, or did I put this in the important pile, or did I put this in the priority pile, or did I put this in the daytime pile or the night? I just sort it now by whatever category it fits in. And that's sort of working. I still have a lot to do, but it's one thing I could wrap my mind around. So, you know, getting a partner to help you, partnering up. This kind of goes with the second tip, which is slightly different, which is delegating. So if you can't get a partner to help you, you get someone to actually do it for you. That's where delegating comes in. Now, if you want to divide your tasks between members of your household, so if we're talking about, I mentioned cleaning out the gutter, maybe one person gets out the ladder, maybe another person, and they set it up. Another person is the one that climbs up on the ladder and gets the leaves out of the gutter. Maybe there's another person that their job is to put the leaves in the bag or the compost bin while you're in the kitchen making them lunch or doing their laundry for them. So, you can delegate the unpleasant tasks to somebody else. Well, or maybe you want to swap tasks. This is a good idea too. If you have to do something that you don't like and they're like, they don't care about it being that bad of a thing to do. Maybe your task is cleaning the bathroom and you hate that, and their task is doing the dishes, and you tell them, I will do the dishes for you 2 days in a row if you clean the bathroom for me. Okay. So what is it that you can do to get a handle on the tasks? Is it to give someone the task completely or break it up into chunks so you don't have to do all of it? If you can delegate parts of it, like delegate somebody, if they pay the budget for you, you'll go grocery shopping for them, or they can take a partial thing off to help you relieve some of the unpleasantness. Now, I have my teenage son put the dishes away when they're clean. He won't touch dirty dishes. It's one of his aversions. It's one of his unpleasant tasks. So I load them when they're dirty and he puts them away when they're clean. So you can really make the most out of yourself and your life if you start enlisting others. Who here, hello, those of you on my Facebook group, hello, who here is a martyr, is a silent servant who does everything for everyone else, who thinks that they're being strong by not asking for help? Okay, we need to get rid of that. We need to get rid of that and stop being a martyr and a suffering saint, thinking you have to do everything yourself. That is not smart. That is not wise. You've got to enlist some help. Oh my gosh. Let me show you. I was reading something this morning in the scripture that drives this point home. Hold on, let me grab it. Okay, the book of Exodus. Moses had just led all the people out of Israel, and he's like the leader, right? So he's like the judge. So whenever people have a problem, they come to him. They come to him with every single problem, and he's supposed to be the one to solve it. I don't know how many thousands of people he was having to judge between. This is this is the Amplified Bible I'm reading. This is chapter 18 of Exodus. And Moses' father-in-law, all the things he was doing for all the people. And he said, what are you doing? Like, what is this thing you're doing? You're doing all of this for all these people? He said, why do you sit alone and all the people stand around you from morning till evening? He was like their life coach. He was their counselor. He was their judge. Thousands of people. Maybe he was dealing with hundreds of people a day. Who knows? That all had problems and they were all coming to him for their problems. Oh my goodness. And his father-in-law is saying, What? You're sitting here from morning till evening? He's like, Moses said to his father-in-law, well, because the people come to me and they want to know what God has to say about these things. Oh, you guys, if you knew how many messages I get on social media with people wanting me to answer all their questions. And I don't want to be rude, but man, I have a life to live and I have kids to feed and clothe and I have more books I want to write and I'm homeschooling and I'm working at the studio several days a week. Like, I love you, but I don't have time to answer everybody's question and solve everybody's problem, right? That's why you got to be on here Saturday mornings so I can help you. And one Saturday a month, we're doing the Ask Me Anything, right? So Moses is like, well, they come and they inquire of me. When they have a dispute, they come to me and I judge between this man and his neighbor and I make them know the statutes of God and his law. So they come with me to dispute. I tell them what the word of God says, you know. So he's like, well, like, what am I supposed to do? And his father-in-law said, this thing you're doing is not good. It's not good. What he was doing was good, but listen, how he was doing it was not good. He said, you are going to wear yourself out. Wow. How many of you guys are being worn out because you're doing too much? You're doing everything for everybody and you feel you don't want to ask for help. You're that suffering servant. You're that suffering saint that's not asking for help. What you are doing is not good. You will surely wear yourself out and the people with you. For the thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to perform it by yourself. How many of you have bit off more than you can chew? Right? We talked about this last week when we talked about overwhelm. But a lot of it, there's a saying that says, God will not give you more than you can handle. And I have a saying that says, true, but sometimes we take it upon ourselves, even though God hasn't asked us to. We feel like we have to. Sometimes it's this guilt. Sometimes it's a worthiness thing, feeling like, well, we have to do this, or even the devil will say, well, if you don't help everybody and if you just worry about your own stuff, well, then you're not a good Christian. So we're listening to this negative feedback. And do you know how many people in ministry burn themselves out because they're trying to do everything for everybody? And Moses' father-in-law is saying, listen to me. I will counsel you and God to be with you. You shall represent the people before God and bring their cases and causes to him. Teach them the decrees and the laws and show them the way they must walk and the work they must do. So he is basically telling Moses, you got to train these people. You got to train them. You got to teach them God's laws, show them how to judge these cases. He was basically saying, Moses, you've got to enlist some people to help you. I know they don't know what to do, but you got to train them. I had to train Timothy how to put the dishes away. Listen, that took a long time. Brittany knows being a mother. Anyone who's a mother, you have to tell your kids over and over and over. I talk about this. Did you guys see the live stream from 2 or 3 years ago where I did one for Mother's Day? And I talked about the word for mother, what it means. I can't remember if it was the Hebrew or Greek, but the word mother is like to wash over with to smooth out a stone. Mother is like water. Our kids and sometimes our staff and our employees, they're like rough rocks. And we have to tell them over and over. And it's like water goes over a rough rock over and over, and the waves smooth that rock out. We have to smooth some things out for some people in our lives. And we have to train people on how they can help us. I was just telling Timmy this morning, I was like, instead of being on video games all day, you could like maybe help me edit some of my videos. We could train you. We could show you. We need to enlist help. We can't do everything by ourselves. And Moses' father-in-law says, teach them. That's what I'm doing every Saturday morning, right? I'm trying to teach you the decrees and the laws, and it's to show them the way they must walk and the work they must do. That's what we're here. We're like, okay, what does God's word say? How can I get this? How can I apply? How can I take the scriptures that seems like it was for people 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 years ago. How can I apply it to my life now? We're talking about Moses. Was this like 5 or 6,000 years ago? But this applies to us today. Teach them the decrees and the laws and what they must do. He's basically saying, delegate, train them, show them what to do. Moreover, you shall choose men who are able from all the people. Here's how, and you guys want to know how to choose people? Right here. How do you choose people to partner with you? How do you choose people to delegate to? How do you choose people to be in your life? You shall choose able men from all the people, God-fearing men of truth who hate unjust gain. Okay, so when you're appointing people to be a judge or someone in the Supreme Court, or you're appointing people to political offices, what a novel idea to pick ones that are God-fearing men who love the truth and who hate unjust gain. What is unjust gain? They're taking bribes. You know, this is not even in my notes, but I'm just flowing with the Holy Spirit right now. You enlist people and you place them over thousands, over hundreds, over 50s, over tens to be their rulers. So what is he saying? You have to judge the people in your life and what they're capable of doing, whether you're a boss or whether you have kids. You need to know, is this kid or is this employee, are they capable of being over 10? Are they capable of being over 50, over hundreds or thousands? You're going to see what your kids are capable of, or what your employees are capable of, or what your partner is capable of. And you don't want to give them more than they're capable of, right? So many nuggets just in these few verses of how we can live our lives, and let them judge the people at all times. Let them. I'm like, Timmy, I'm letting you put the dishes away every day. I don't care if you have school. I don't care if you have excuses. I don't care if you'd rather play outside. I don't care if you'd rather do your video games. Let them do it, right? At all times. Every great matter they shall bring to you. So he's saying you're still going to have to do some stuff. Every great matter they will bring to you. So if I have people I'm delegating to, I have employees I'm delegating to, the great matters have to come to me. There's going to be some things you're still going to have to decide, right? So somebody that I know that is probably the best delegator I have ever met is Darman. Best delegator I have ever met. He knows how to set the right people in the right place to take over the tasks. You know, they train them well. They have the directors training with them usually for weeks, and they've already qualified them through all of the interviews and seen them do like a test shoot and all this stuff. But then the great matters, there's a chain of command. You can't take everything to Dar, right? That's why he set people beneath him, just like Moses, to let the people judge every great and small matter. So there's chains of commands you go through. There's somebody, if as an actor, there's somebody I go to that's ahead of the actors, and they bring it to the next person in line if they can't answer it, and that person brings, all the way up to, it may or may not ever see Dar's eyes. Depends on how big it is. So it says, every small matter they shall judge themselves. This way it will be easier for you, and they will bear the burden with you. How many, I just think of the kids in my household. They're not paying for rent. They're not paying for their clothes or their food, right? That's what we do as a parent, but they can help contribute. You can delegate to them. They can make it easier for you. It says, so it will be easier for you, and they will bear the burden with you. That's verse 22 of chapter 18. And then I underline this part. If you do this, God so commands you, you will be able to endure the strain. How many of you feel like you have not been able to endure the strain? You will be able to endure the strain, and all the people that wanted something from you, and even all the people that you enlisted to help you, all these people will go to their tents in peace. Listen, this isn't just for your peace of mind. You thinking you have to be this person that does everything for everybody, that's got to stop. And I know, right? Right. I wrote the book, You Are Worthy. So I know that sometimes we do all this stuff and take on so many burdens because we don't feel like we're worthy of asking for help. You have to feel worthy of asking for help because you are worthy, not because you've earned it, not because you've deserved it, but because God anointed you. He appointed you. He set you aside. He made you on purpose for a purpose, just the way you are, to do something great in this life and not to go it alone, right? Like scripture tells us, two are better than one. We are supposed to partner with people. It says two are better than one because if one falls into a pit, who will help them out? So, who are you partnering with? Is there a buddy you can get? Is there someone that you can talk to? Is there someone that, even if it's just an accountability partner that you talk to, who can help you? Who can delegate to you? Is there a study buddy if you're in school and you're needing to do homework? You delegate. If you look up all these things for our quiz, I'll look up all these things for our quiz, and we'll get together about the research we found and we'll do it together. That's okay, Donald. Thanks for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Whether you're leaving notes, commenting, or participating on what you think or not, enlisting help, right? So you make the most out of yourself by enlisting the help of others. So maybe you're going to hire an assistant. Once or twice a year, I usually get someone to come in and clean. Usually it's been once a year. The month of my birthday, instead of me getting a birthday gift, which I don't need anything, I pay for someone to come and clean the house. That is my birthday gift to myself, to do a deep cleaning. So I only have to do the sporadic, stuff. So maybe you decide you're going to either hire help or you're going to trade with people, barter with people. Maybe you'll say, I'll wash and vacuum your car for you if you go grocery shopping, right? Maybe, like I said, hiring someone. If you don't have the finances to hire someone, you barter with people. If you don't have it in your budget to pay people right now, let's say you're a CPA, you do taxes, you say, I will do your tax. You do a massage person's taxes if they give you 3 massages, right? You've got gifts and skills and talents that you can do in exchange for people. You may think, I don't have anything going for me. You do. Whether you have the gift of being a buddy or of encouragement, maybe you need something done and you tell the person, I will write a custom poem for you for your anniversary, for a baby shower, for your birthday, in exchange for you spending a couple hours filing my papers for me. You got to get creative, right? Get creative. I know some people who have businesses where they write custom poems for your anniversary or relationship or proposals. If you think of it, you can do it. Also, if you want to hire some people to help you with some unpleasant tasks you've been procrastinating on, you could also have a garage sale. You could sell some stuff on Facebook Marketplace, right? All right. Good night. Someone in India says, it's my bedtime. Well, have a good night's sleep. You can have a garage sale. You can sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace. You can sell stuff on eBay and use that income to get some extra help. I don't know about other places, but here in America, we have so much stuff everywhere. There's a place called ThreadUp, and in ThreadUp, I have the road. I'm not affiliated or anything. It's just I've ordered stuff from here before. This is an online thrift store. So if you have clothes that don't fit you anymore or you're not wearing anymore, you could send them to ThreadUp and they will sell them for you. It's an online thrift store. I don't know if I've never sent stuff to them. I've only bought from them, so I don't know if they'd pay you for your stuff or if it's consignment. But the point is, there's plenty of places you can get rid of stuff and make some money to hire people to help you do what you've been procrastinating on, the unpleasant stuff. Okay, solution number 3. The third solution to help you stop procrastinating against unpleasant tasks Nana says, I will write a custom poem for you if you come and do all my loads of laundry. Someone may take you up on that. I don't know. Um, Nana, if you guys don't have her book yet, go on Amazon and get her book, Poems of Peace. She's a wonderful poet, very inspiring. Brittany says, pertaining to yard work, shoveling snow, mowing the lawn, I hired someone. To me, it's worth it. I agree. Like using that money that you would spend going out to eat or doing something like that, I'd rather sit home and just eat noodles than go out to a fancy dinner and use that money to pay someone. There's so many times I go to work at the studio, I go do acting to get money just to pay my assistant to do unpleasant tasks, whether it's editing my videos or doing stuff around the house or whatever. When I have extra, it's I am not buying Gucci purse or Louis Vuitton or fancy name. I am spending that money to make my life easier. So over in the corner, I have a desk. I used to have an assistant. Uh, I used to have an assistant come 2 or 3 days a week, but then, finances got a little tighter. We're going through a little challenge right now. But I used to have like a job list for her, and now the only thing hanging above the desk right now just says, "Make Kat's life easier." That's her only job description. I happily pay someone to make my life easier, right? Uh, okay. So, the third solution to stop procrastination against the unpleasant tasks is to reframe it. What do I mean by that? Reframe the unpleasant task. So, I made a video on this a couple years ago for my YouTube channel about reframing the unpleasant tasks. Well, here is a refresher. So, how are you speaking about the tasks? What are you saying about these unpleasant tasks? Are you saying, I have to clean my house today because people are coming over? You know, how about, instead of saying, I hate cleaning my house, what if you reframed it? What if you reframed that statement? Instead, you thought about it differently. Instead of saying, I have to clean my house, you instead say something like, I am so grateful that today I get to create an atmosphere of peace and tranquility and love and hospitality to share with the people that I care about most. Doesn't that feel lighter? I do this sometimes with my coaching clients. We take that heavy thing and we say, how can we reframe this? Oh, I hate cleaning. I have to clean. I have to clean my house for people coming over. I get to create an atmosphere that creates peace and tranquility and love and hospitality for the people I care about. Doesn't that just feel different? Doesn't it just feel lighter? It's the same thing. You're doing the same. You're still cleaning, but are you? Or are you creating an atmosphere of tranquility and peace? And think about it like that. So let's talk about reframing it. What would you do? What would you say? Put in the comments right now. What would you do to reframe something that, yeah, somebody's saying, I hate cleaning, it's too boring. Well, how would you reframe that? What would you say instead that would make it not feel either so heavy or so boring? Here's a good one. um, Sometimes, if you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, you need to lose weight, your blood pressure is too high, blah, 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 blah. This is not good for your heart, things like that. We can go, oh, I have to go on a diet. I have to lose weight. I have to be deprived of all the good stuff that I want. You notice the first three letters of diet are die. Die. I have to go on a diet. Of course, nobody likes that, right? But, you know, not, thinking, oh, I'm going to miss out on all my treats. I'm not going to get ice cream every night and cheesecake every night. What about reframing it? What if we reframed it and we instead said something like, no, I am not on a diet. I am becoming I am becoming the healthiest, fittest, strongest version of myself. I am improving my health and my longevity so I can be around longer for my children and my grandchildren. I'm not depriving myself. I'm not depriving myself at all. I'm going to replace those treats, those high fatty foods with something that's going to love my body better. That's going to give me the results I want. I'm going to love myself enough and love being around for years to come disease free by replacing that 500 calorie cheesecake with a piece of organic fruit with some berries. You know what? It's not a sin. You could even sprinkle a little sugar on the strawberries to make them even better. That's going to be like 80 calories instead of 500 calories of fat. And it actually has antioxidants and nutrients and, all kinds of good stuff. So maybe for you, maybe health isn't that big of a motivator. Health is a big motivator for me because I want to stay around long enough to take care of my kids, especially some of you know I have a special needs child. And as of right now, unless God does a miracle and heals him and he gets there's a lot of stuff he can't do. There's a lot of stuff he can't do on his own. I'm not sure if he could ever live on his own. I mean, we're going to get people in, we're going to help him, we're going to show him life skills, we're going to do that. Brittany on here helps adults, with special needs learn how to navigate daily life, taking a bus or work, whatever it is, working somewhere. But until then, I know I got to be around as long as possible to help my sweet boy. So maybe if your health isn't a big motivator for you to start eating cleaner and start eating healthier, maybe how you look is a big motivator. What are you saying to yourself about the weight? Maybe it's not about, oh, I have to deprive myself and da da da. Maybe you're saying, oh no, I am not depriving myself. I am letting go. I am letting go. It's not, I have to lose weight. I am letting go of the excess so I can reveal my inner sexiness. However you need to phrase it, what is it for you? Are you, oh, I have to diet and lose weight? Are you like, no, I am letting go of the excess. I am revealing my inner sexiness. So I don't know what it's going to be for you, but you know yourself. What is something you've been dreading? Put it in the comments and tell me how you're going to reframe it. How do you need to reframe that unpleasant thing to do? Perhaps I myself could take this to heart and say, well, instead of saying, oh, like I hate filing and paperwork, maybe I need to reframe it and say, I enjoy getting organized. I enjoy putting things in order. Scripture tells us we're supposed to do all things decently in order. And I love to file because it saves me time finding exactly what I need when I need it instead of spending hours going through random piles everywhere. Plus, if anything ever happened to me, I would save my loved ones all kinds of stress because everything would be easily found and labeled. Right? Okay, so I gotta hurry. Man, I still have oof, 3 more solutions just to the unpleasant tasks one. Ooh, okay. Solution 4, to beat this unpleasant task would be to set a timer. This works fantastic for so many different things. Even on days where like you don't want to work out, you make yourself get dressed, put your tennis shoes on and commit to just doing 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Don't say I have to work out for an hour or you'll never do it. Don't say you have to do 30 minutes or you'll never do it. You say, I'm putting my shoes on, I'm only going to exercise for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And you set that timer and listen, when that timer goes off, stop. If you want to stop, stop. But in my experience, most of the time after I've done the 5 or 10 minutes, I want to keep going. So, and even if you do stop, it's fine. Don't beat yourself up because you wouldn't have done any at all. If you thought about that hour, you're like, no, I just can't. You wouldn't have done any at all, but you did a little bit. So you need to celebrate that 5 or 10 minutes. And you can do this with a certain number of things too. Like the other day, I was like, I am not going to work out today. And then while I was just standing there waiting for my tea water to boil, I was like, instead of just standing here waiting for the water to boil, I did 10 squats, 10 sit-ups, and 10 push-ups. I was like, I'm just going to do 10 of each, and then I'm going to be done. Usually I want to keep going, but that day I didn't. I was like, no, I didn't. I stopped. So do you need to set a timer? Just say, I'm just going to do it for a few minutes, or do you need to say, I'm just going to do 10 of them? All right, solution number 5. I've been doing this one a lot lately. Solution 5 is sandwich it. What do I mean by that? If you have unpleasant tasks you want to work on, but there's something you'd rather be doing, sandwich that thing you like to do in between the things you don't like to do. So I had a friend, she hated walking on the treadmill and riding the exercise bike, but she had this favorite show she loved to watch. She decided, I will only watch my favorite show when I'm on the treadmill or on the bike. Maybe you only listen to your audiobooks or your favorite music while you're cleaning the house. I like to listen to my audiobooks while I'm putting laundry away. What if what you need to do can be done at the same time as something else, to trick yourself to do the work in between? Like lately, when I've been having these piles of paperwork, but I also want to work on my next poetry book, I will do like 2 or 3 pieces of paperwork, and then I get to work on a poem for however long, 10, 20, 30 minutes. And then I'll do a few more pieces of paperwork. But then I get to work on a poem. So that's like my little reward system. What is it for you? Leave a comment about what you could do to sandwich some of the stuff you actually like doing in between the stuff you don't actually like or that you find unpleasant. So, what is something fun you can do in between? Maybe you're sorting your tax receipts, and for every like 10 receipts, you let yourself color. Do you have anybody have those adult coloring books? I don't, but I know people who do. You let yourself color for 10 minutes, or maybe every 15 minutes you work on an unpleasant task, you get to dance to your favorite song. So you work for 15 minutes, then you put on your favorite song and you dance. The key here is knowing yourself, knowing what is going to put you over the edge to help you do these things. What's going to be that thing that gets you doing that unpleasant task? Nicholas says, listening to music, catching up with friends, and my uni assignment. So every time you get an assignment done or work for a couple hours, then you allow yourself a half-hour conversation with a friend. How about that? That's motivating. Solution number 6, and I know we're already over time and I got to get to work, but I want to get through these 7 solutions for how to get over these unpleasant tasks and stop procrastinating on them. Solution 6, do the unpleasant thing first. There was a book written years ago by Brian Tracy, and it's called Eat This Frog, or Eat That Frog. How many of you have heard of that book or read about it? Put yes in the chat. Eat That Frog. In that book, Eat That Frog, he tells you do the unpleasant thing first thing. And his whole logic is behind it. If you do the unpleasant thing first, you're going to have a greater impact and positivity and productivity for the day. He rationalizes that once you eat that frog, everything else is going to taste better after that. You've got the most disgusting thing done first. Like everything is going to be peaches after that. So if that works for you, awesome. I tried to do the eat the frog thing first. That did not work for me, but that might be a solution for you. Because what I did is I would end up finding 1 million things to do before I would get to that task. And then I would stretch everything on my morning routine out to go to lunch, but then I had to eat lunch. And then when I came back after lunch, then I would somehow, let me just tidy this up first. And let me do all these other things, not even important things, because I did not want to do that thing. And then it would be like afternoon, I'd be like, oh, now I need to take a nap. And I would just find a way. Then it would be the end of the night. Oh, no, I got to put it on my list for tomorrow. Doing it first did not work for me. Maybe someday I'll get to that point, but that might work for you. I highly recommend Brian Tracy's book, Eat That Frog, if you think, man, if I just tackle that thing first and get it over with. This is why it's important to know yourself, to journal, to get clear with yourself, to write down like, oh, I did this today and I really messed up. And why did I do that? The more you journal and get to know yourself, you got to find out what your personality type is and know your kryptonite. Like Superman knows what makes him weak. He knows his kryptonite. If you guys just hang with me for 1 more minute, 2 more minutes, we'll get to the last solution to unpleasant tasks. One of the Facebook users says, I listen to encouragement and motivational videos while I clean the house and are cooking. That's awesome. And those of you in my Facebook group, if it just says Facebook user, so I don't know your name. So whenever you leave a comment, just put your name if you want me to say your name in the comment. But that's awesome. That's great. Solution 7 to getting through the unpleasant tasks is rewards, right? This worked for us as kids. It works for people in the Olympics, right? People in the Olympics will train hard for 4 years daily, for 4 years, like over 1,200 days, 1,300 days, just to get a medal. What? What kind of rewards do you need to put in place that will make you want to do the unpleasant tasks? Will a reward at the end help you? Right? For me, I like doing the stuff in between. But sometimes, if you have the kind of fortitude where you know there's something good coming for you at the end, like these Olympians that can work 4 years at the possibility of getting a medal, you know, does it have to be something bigger than after I finish this task, I'll get to watch the 2 episodes of my favorite show? Or maybe it's at the end of the week, if I've done all these things, I'm going to take myself to my favorite restaurant, or I'm going to take myself out to the movies. Now, if there's something you have been putting off for weeks or for months, like organizing piles or whatever it is for you, if you've been putting it off, then you deserve a prize for finally getting it done. Don't poo-poo the prize. You deserve a reward. If you now are going to give yourself that, if you're going to buy yourself that new belt or new skirt or whatever, new pair of jeans, after you've done this thing you've been putting off and procrastinating on it, you need like a pat on the back, and you do need a prize. Hey, it worked for us when we were 5 in school, right? Getting the stars on our chart. I'm homeschooling Eli, my 5-year-old. He will try to get off course, and I have to remind him, you're going to get if you pay attention, you're going to get a star at the end of the day. And that gets him back on track. So sometimes we need to keep recentering ourselves around the prize that we're going to be receiving. And we have to remind ourselves something great is coming. When I finish this, something great is coming. Just like Eli knows he only needs 10 stars to get a prize. So what is it for you? Okay. Leave it in the chat, leave it in the comments. I don't want to be late for work, so I got to go. We went over. Next week, we're going to have to do part 4 because there's still 3 things that are causing you to procrastinate, and we're going to break through all of them with solutions. If you found this helpful, put a yes in the chat. If you found this to give you some solutions, let me know, and we'll be back here next Saturday with more solutions for you to beat through procrastination and get done what you need to do. Love you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.